Now, we all know that having fun is important. Why don't we do it more? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because we all suffer from a disease at times called terminal seriousness. And terminal seriousness is categorized by having those buttons, those little things that just annoy you, that really seem to get in your way of having fun and enjoy yourself. You all have your buttons. I'm sure if I asked you to talk to your partners, someone at a table, you could come up with hundreds. We've all got them. I've got mine. My push button, you know, I consider myself open-minded. I'm not prejudiced. I don't discriminate. But there's one group of people that I cannot stand, and that is stupid people. Now, I apologize if I offend. If there are any stupid people in the audience, I apologize. If you have stupid people in your family, but I don't mean to be offensive. But when I say stupid people, I'm not talking about IQ tests and education. I'm talking about people who have a simple, utter lack of common sense. You know who I'm talking about. These people are everywhere. You can't turn without bumping into a stupid person, right? Like, I'm at a bar, just hanging out with some friends. I'm watching the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and this dude comes up and somehow thinks I want to have a conversation with him about immigration reform. In California. I'm in Philadelphia. And he's just talking. And you ever get entrapped in these conversations with these people where you're trying to be polite, so you're waiting for a break in the conversation, but they subconsciously know that no one's interested in what they're saying, so they somehow talk without ever taking a breath? And you can't get out of these conversations. I felt like the woman at the bar being approached by guys. I had to tell them to leave. I mean, they're everywhere. Or how about this Mensa student? The guy who, before a speech, took a look at my one-sheet flyer, walks up to me and says, "Huh, you look different than you do in the picture." Now, here's where my stupidity came out. I asked a follow-up question. "What do you mean?" "Oh, you look thinner in the picture than you do in person." Wait, why do you do that? How stupid do you have to be to essentially walk up to someone and say, "Hey, you look fatter than you did 6 months ago"? That's great. What kind of finishing school do you go to where this is what's taught as the appropriate behavior? I don't understand. At least he gave me a story I could tell. But if you really want to see a stupid person, take a person and put them behind the wheel of a car. Sheer geniuses become blithering idiots when they're driving. I don't understand it. And it's because that driver's test is too simple. Right? To get a license, what do you got to do? You got to sit in a car, you got to turn it on, you got to parallel park, and you got to drive between some cones. Like, that's not a test of how well you drive. I think they should take you out on the highway with 4 people in your car and the radio blaring and traffic blaring by you. Then let's see how well you drive. I think they should add a common sense test to the driver's test. It could have simple questions like, if you pull up to a red light and the light turns green, what should you do? I mean, how many times are you behind someone when the light turns green and they just sit there? Now, you want to honk on your horn, but I live in downtown Philadelphia. I'm afraid if I honk my horn, someone's going to get out of the car and hit my windshield with a golf club. So you just sit there. Or have you ever been in that situation where you see the person disappear? Like, you see through the back of their thing, and you just see this, and they drop out of view. Like, what could possibly be so important that you have to pick this moment to grab something off the, like maybe you're Jack Bauer from 24 and the terrorist planted a thermonuclear device in your dashboard. But really, what other situation is there where you have to do that at that moment, right? Or how about a common sense question like, if you are in the left lane and car after car after car is passing you, what do? You know what they do? They stay in the left-hand lane. Well, these cars are clearly okay. They're getting by me. And we all do the same thing when we pass on the right, don't we? We drive by and then we do this. Because we want to make eye contact with that person so that they know that we know that they know that we know that they're in the wrong lane. But they never make eye contact, right? Because usually it's some dude in a minivan driving at 45 miles an hour with 2 kids in the back seat watching SpongeBob, not paying attention to anything else. Or my new current pet peeve with that is when someone pulls to an intersection and they're not sure of the directions, so they're not sure if they should go left or right, so they don't go anywhere. What trauma do you have in your past that the simple decision of going left or right when you're not sure causes you to freeze in the middle of an intersection? I just don't understand these things. Now, you probably have your own pet peeves, and traffic may bother you too. I don't have time to get into all of them, but just to mention a few others that maybe you can relate to. Things that annoy me when it comes to traffic. Why hot button, right? People who, when they're allowed to turn right on red, don't turn right on red. People who double park their cars on single-lane city streets. People who don't honor the alternating one-at-a-time merge etiquette in heavy traffic. People who miss their exit on the highway and then drive in reverse on the shoulder for 1.5 miles. The person who forgets to knock the snow off the top of their car, so when you're behind them on the highway, you're driving through a blizzard. Anyone who wastes my time trying to parallel park in a spot that is clearly too small for their car. And on the flip side, anyone who takes 18 attempts to get into a spot that is 3 car lengths long. People who don't turn their headlights on when it's raining. Any idiot who can't seem to manage to park between the white lines in a parking spot. People who signal without turning. People who turn without signaling. And finally, anyone who tries to go through the easy pass lane when they don't have an easy pass, which backs up the easy pass lane, which defeats the entire purpose of having an easy pass in the first place. So I have my buttons. And you do too. They're all things that annoy us. And the minute we forget to have some fun in those situations is the minute we lose our power, we lose our ability to improvise, we lose our ability to do anything good. So we got to change our response to find fun. Now, one of my ways of having fun is doing what I just did here, ranting about it, but not in an angry way. You're not in that way when you're driving with people and they get really legitimately angry. You know, say your things like jokes. Get angry.